donated the maximum amount to Barack Obama's campaign. Do you think that's why he nominated you as U.S. Solicitor General, the nation's second most influential legal authority? Do you think that's why he's going to put you on the Supreme Court, because you gave him the maximum amount, and you are female, and yes, okay. That's one of the least questions that will pop up, that's for sure. Let's talk about, let me see here, Kagan cited Marshall's assertion about the Constitution, and going right along with what Obama believes about the Constitution.
Oh, absolutely. She's come out and pretty much said plain as day that she believes the Constitution is a flawed document.
She used the word defective, didn't she? It's a defective, that she thinks the Constitution is defective.
Absolutely. This is the same mindset that the president has, that the Constitution is flawed and that it needs to be a living, evolving document that actually morphs as we go down the path of time as a country. Couldn't be further from the truth. We actually can use the Constitution and the Charters of Freedom to bind everyone together throughout the tests of time, because it is a set of laws that limit the power of government and allow us to have individual expression and responsibility. So by saying that the Constitution is flawed, she joins this group of people that would like to see it morph into something that it's not. And what the progressives are trying to do, and make no mistake about it, she is a progressive, and she's radically progressive. She's not a moderate by any means of the definition of the word. By wanting to join in this progressive movement that we're seeing in control today, it's to move toward global governance and a global community of laws, and that usurps the sovereignty of the United States Constitution. Therefore, she's unqualified to be a Supreme Court justice, because Supreme Court justices are supposed to defend the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. And you're not supposed to pick one group over another group either, but, you know, when she starts quoting Justice Marshall, what was it? She was saying you should show a special solitude for the disadvantaged or something like that. I'm looking for the...
It all comes down to the overall general mindset and the disingenuous reporting that the mainstream, or what I'm calling now the irrelevant media, is trying to jam down the people's throats. I'm glad people are waking up. She's not a moderate. They keep trying to say that she's a moderate. She's not.
The article you wrote, We Have to Talk About Elena Kagan, that's your latest, right?
That's correct.
Yep, I like the beginning. The coverage of President Obama's most recent nominee to the United States Supreme Court, Elena Kagan, has been nothing less than incredible. Of course, the word incredible can be used in several contexts, some good, pardon me, and some bad. To clarify, I am urging it in the context meant to be mean, bad, very bad, incredibly bad. Boy, that's a way to sum it up. But just like the Obama administration, this lady's going to have the mainstream media putting out all these great accolades about her.
Oh, they are certainly on her side. As a matter of fact, the most critical coverage she's gotten to date is glowing. One person from I believe CBS in New York, all she could talk about was the fact that she was the first dean at Harvard who was a female, and that she had a spaghetti eating contest with Eliot Spitzer. They talked about her softball. They talked about everything but what she's written. And because she has no judicial paper trail, there's no decisions for us to look at. So we have to go back and look at, what have you written ideologically, Ms. Kagan? And the most comprehensive work we have comes from her days at Princeton.
And, of course, that is the ask, don't tell.
We've got when she was at Harvard, she was anti-military.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you said Princeton. Yeah, my mistake, yeah.
Princeton is where she really exposes herself as someone who is very sympathetic towards the socialist cause. When we get into Harvard, we see that she ran interference for some people who did some plagiarism there. There were two professors who plagiarized. She ran interference for them. They just so happened to be pretty good friends of President Obama's, which is one reason I think that she's gotten the nomination. But they became very good friends in Chicago when he was a teacher's assistant. And this is one thing I can't point out enough. He wasn't a professor. He didn't teach constitutional law as a professor at the University of Chicago. He was an overglorified guest speaker who was placed there against the faculty's will by political pressure people in Chicago who taught a few classes on constitutional law. He's not a professor by any means. So maybe that's another reason why she's being elevated to nominee to SCOTUS, because she goes along with that canard.
Well, and, President Obama has said that he wants justices with a keen understanding of how the law affects the daily lives of American people. And then I was talking about Harvard instead of Princeton, but when she booted the military recruiters off the Harvard campus, that was showing you, that she was going against law, the supreme law. And here's one I didn't know, Frank, was that did you know that at one time she was a consultant to Goldman Sachs?
That shouldn't shock anybody, because Goldman Sachs has its fingers so deeply into federal government, and on both sides of the aisle. They've got their fingers so deeply into federal government that to expunge Goldman Sachs would be like removing the spine of government. It needs to be done, but no one should ever be shocked if someone being nominated to a high post has Goldman Sachs in their background.
Well, apparently when it comes to the Constitution, we've discussed the First Amendment, but apparently the lady doesn't like the Second Amendment either. I wonder how many other amendments. We're going to continue in just a moment. Frank Salvato, Executive Director and Director of Terrorism Research for BasicProject.org. And most of this stuff we're talking about is from DiscoverTheNetworks.com. You can also read his great stuff at newmediajournal.us. newmediajournal.us. Be right back.
Do you want a wireless laptop, but your credit